My niece told my 5-year-old foster son, "You're not blood, so you don't count." My mom didn't correct her. My sister snorted. I helped my son with his coat and left. Later that evening, Mom texted, "The bonus, sent?" I wrote back, "Absolutely. To people who treat him like family." I need you to understand something right now. I didn't know I could feel that kind of rage until I heard those words come out of a 7-year-old's mouth. "You're not blood, so you don't count." My niece, Emma, said this to my son. My 5-year-old son Carter, who I'd finalized the adoption for just 2 weeks earlier. You want to know the worst part? My mother, the woman who raised me to believe family was everything, she just sat there. Didn't blink. Didn't correct Emma. Nothing. And my sister? Jennifer actually snorted. Like it was funny. I'm Sarah, 32, and that Sunday dinner in March was the day everything changed. Let me back up. Every year my mom gives family bonuses to each grandchild. A few $100s for birthdays and holidays. It's her thing. She retired early from nursing and loves spoiling the kids. I never thought much about it until that moment. We'd gathered at Mom's house in Portland for my nephew Mason's birthday. My sister Jennifer was there with her husband Rick and their 2 kids. My younger brother Tyler bailed last minute. And then there was me and Carter. Carter had been so excited that morning. He'd helped me wrap Mason's present, a remote control car he'd picked out himself. "Do you think Mason will like it, Mama?" God, he called me Mama now. Does that break your heart? Because it breaks mine to remember. The party was fine at first. Cake presents the usual chaos. But I noticed Emma kept telling Carter he couldn't play with certain toys because they were just for real cousins. I should have said something then. Do you think I should have? Then came dinner. Mom had made pot roast and we were all sitting around the table. Emma was talking about her dance recital, and Mom mentioned giving her money for a new outfit. Carter piped up, "Grandma, I'm in soccer now. Mama signed me up." The table went quiet. You know that kind of quiet, right? Mom gave that tight smile and said, "That's nice, honey." Not, "I'd love to watch a game." Just, "That's nice, honey." Carter kept chattering about his team, the Raptors, and how he'd almost scored a goal. Emma rolled her eyes. Then she said it. "You're not blood, so you don't count." Time stopped. I looked at Jennifer. She was smirking. I looked at my mother. She was cutting her pot roast like nothing had happened. "Mom," I said. "Did you hear what Emma just said?" Mom glanced up. "She's 7, Sarah. She doesn't understand." "Then correct her," I interrupted. "Do you know what my mother said?" She said, "Well, you have to understand it's different for the kids. Carter is new." Like he was a phone. Not a traumatized little boy who'd already been rejected by one family. Carter's eyes filled with tears. He looked at me with that expression that said, "Make it better, Mama." But I couldn't make this better. Not here. So I stood up. "Come on, buddy. Let's get your coat." "But we didn't have dessert yet," he whispered. "We'll get ice cream on the way home. Just you and me." I helped him with his dinosaur jacket while everyone sat in silence. My mother finally spoke. "Sarah, don't be dramatic." I didn't respond. I just took Carter's hand and left. The drive home was quiet. Carter fell asleep before we even got to the ice cream place. I could see his tear-stained face in the rearview mirror. I'd fought so hard for this kid. The home studies, the classes, the court dates. I'd rearranged my entire life for him. And my family had just told him he didn't matter. That evening, after I'd tucked Carter into bed with 3 extra stories, my phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "The bonus, sent?" See, every year I sent her the birthday bonuses by Venmo. She'd give me cash and I'd distribute it digitally to Jennifer and Tyler for their kids. I stared at that text for a long time. "What would you have done?" I wrote back, "Absolutely. To people who treat him like family." Then I opened my Venmo app and started typing. What I did next set off a chain of events I never could have predicted. My phone didn't stop ringing for days. But that comes soon. For now, all you need to know is that I was sitting on my couch, my son finally asleep after crying himself exhausted, and I just sent a very specific message to my family. The fallout was going to be nuclear. My phone started ringing at 6:47 a.m. the next morning. "Jennifer." I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again. And again. By 7:15 I had 12 missed calls and a string of texts that would have made a sailor blush. My favorite? "You're a selfish bitch and you just ruined Mason's birthday money." Oh, did I forget to mention what I actually did with that bonus money? I sent every single penny, $800 total that was meant for Emma and Mason, to Carter's trauma therapist. With a note that said, "For the extra sessions he's going to need after yesterday." Petty? Maybe. But you know what? I slept better that night than I had in weeks. My mom called around 8 a.m. I was making Carter pancakes, trying to act like everything was normal. He'd woken up quieter than usual and that killed me. "Sarah Elizabeth, Mom's voice was ice cold. What have you done? I sent the bonus to people who treat Carter like family, I said calmly. Just like I told you I would. That money was for your sister's children. And Carter is your grandchild, Mom. But you don't seem to think so. There was silence on the other end. Then, you're being unreasonable. Emma is a child. She didn't mean. Then you should have corrected her, I interrupted. You should have told her that adoption makes Carter just as much your grandson as Emma and Mason. But you didn't. You sat there and let her say he doesn't count. Do you think I was too harsh? Because honestly, I was just getting started. Jennifer is furious, Mom said. She's saying you're punishing the children for. I'm not punishing anyone. I'm just choosing where my money goes. And it's going to my son's therapy instead of to a family that doesn't consider him family. I hung up. Carter was watching me with those big brown eyes. Is Grandma mad at us? God, that us destroyed me. No, baby. Grandma's just learning some things right now. Over the next few days, the family group chat exploded. Jennifer was demanding I apologize and send the money. Tyler, who barely even showed up to family events, suddenly had opinions about my dramatic overreaction. Even Rick, Jennifer's normally quiet husband, sent me a private message saying I was causing unnecessary family drama. But here's the thing, I wasn't alone. My Aunt Linda, my mom's younger sister who lives in Seattle, called me Tuesday evening. I heard what happened, she said. And I want you to know something. I've been watching how your mother treats Carter differently since you adopted him. I noticed it at Christmas. I hadn't even realized Aunt Linda had noticed. I'm sending you something, she continued. For Carter's college fund. And Sarah? You did exactly the right thing. The next day, $500 appeared in Carter's savings account from Aunt Linda. Then my cousin Rachel, who I hadn't talked to in months, texted, heard about the family dinner. Team Sarah all the way. Emma's been a brat for years and Jennifer never corrects her. It was like a crack had formed in my family and people were choosing sides. And honestly, I wasn't sure if that made me feel better or worse. Wednesday night, Mom showed up at my apartment unannounced. Carter was at his first soccer practice. My neighbor, Mrs. Chen, had picked him up since I was working late. We need to talk, Mom said, pushing past me into my living room. Do we? She turned to face me and for the first time she looked uncertain. Not angry. Your sister wants me to choose between you two, she said quietly. My stomach dropped. And I don't want to choose. Sarah, you're my daughter. But you can't just. Can't just what, Mom? Protect my son? Expect my family to treat him with basic decency? It's not that simple. Yes, it is. I was shouting now and I never shout. It's actually incredibly simple. Carter's my son. He's your grandson. Either you treat him like family or you don't. There's no middle ground here. Mom sat down heavily on my couch. She looked older suddenly. Tired. I didn't think it mattered that much, she said softly. The blood thing. I thought as long as we were polite to him that was enough. Polite. He thought being polite was enough. He's 5 years old, Mom. He's been through more trauma than most adults will ever experience. He needs to know he belongs. That he's wanted. That he's oyus. My voice cracked. And you made him feel like he's not. Imagine sitting across from your mother and realizing she doesn't understand the most important thing in your world. What would you even say? We sat in silence for a long moment. Then Mom said something that surprised me. Tell me about him. About Carter. Really tell me. I don't think I've really asked. So I did. I told her about the nightmares he still had. About how he hoarded food in his room because he'd gone hungry before. About how it took 3 months before he believed I wasn't going to send him away. About the first time he drew a picture of us together and labeled it, my family. Mom cried. Actually cried sitting on my couch. I didn't know, she whispered. I didn't understand. Because you didn't ask, Mom. You just decided he was different and you treated him like a guest instead of family. She left shortly after that and I honestly didn't know if things were better or worse. But something had shifted even if I couldn't name it yet. That night, after Carter came home buzzing about soccer practice after dinner and bath time and bedtime stories, I checked my phone. A text from Mom. Can I come to Carter's soccer game this Saturday? I'd like to try again. My finger hovered over the screen. Was it too soon? Could I trust her? But more importantly, and this is what I kept asking myself, was I willing to give her the chance to do better? Because what happened at that soccer game? Well, let's just say it wasn't what I expected. Saturday morning was cold and drizzly, typical Portland spring weather. Carter was bouncing around the apartment in his Raptors uniform, a green and yellow jersey that was slightly too big for him. Is Grandma really coming? He asked for the 5th time. She said she would, buddy. I was nervous. What if Mom didn't show? What if she showed up and said something thoughtless again? If my phone buzzed. Mom, running a few minutes late. Save me a spot. The soccer field was packed with parents in folding chairs and kids warming up. I was setting up our chairs when I spotted her, but she wasn't alone. Mom was walking across the field with Jennifer, my sister. The one who'd been blowing up my phone with angry messages all week. The one who'd called me a selfish bitch. I froze. What were they doing here together? Carter saw them and went still beside me. Mama. It's okay, I said, though I had no idea if it was. They approached and I noticed Jennifer looked uncomfortable. Not angry. Uncomfortable. Sarah, Mom said carefully. Jennifer has something she wants to say. My sister wouldn't meet my eyes at first. Then she took a breath. Emma's been having nightmares all week. That was not what I expected her to say. What? She keeps crying that you hate her. That she ruined everything. Jennifer's voice cracked. Rick and I talked to her about what she said to Carter. Really talked to her. And when we explained what adoption means, what Carter's been through, she finally looked at me. She's 7, Sarah. She heard me and Rick talking one night about how different it was that you adopted, and she internalized it wrong. Do you think that made it better? Because I honestly didn't know how to feel. She learned it from us, Jennifer continued. From me complaining to Rick about how Mom gave you extra attention when you were going through the adoption process. Emma heard me being awful. And she thought that's how we were supposed to feel. I stood there speechless. I'm not making excuses, Jennifer said quickly. What she said was cruel. What I did laughing was worse. But I need you to know it came from me, not from some innate meanness in her. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Before I could respond, I heard a small voice behind me. Aunt Sarah. I turned. Emma was standing there with Rick holding a poster board. On it, written in shaky 7-year-old handwriting, Go Carter. #1 cousin. She decorated it with soccer balls and stars. And at the bottom, I'm sorry. You do count. Carter walked over slowly, cautiously. Emma looked terrified. I'm really sorry, she whispered to him. You're my cousin. Real cousin. I was mean and wrong. What do you think Carter did? This kid who'd been rejected, who'd been hurt. He looked up at me. I nodded. And then he said, Wait, do you want to sit with us? Just like that. Because kids, they forgive easier than adults, don't they? Emma nodded eagerly and sat down next to Carter, holding her poster. Jennifer's eyes were red and even Mom looked emotional. The game started and it was chaotic the way kindergarten soccer always is. A swarm of kids chasing the ball with no strategy whatsoever. But Carter was trying so hard, his little legs pumping. Then something unexpected happened. Midway through the second half, one of the bigger kids on the other team, a kid who had to be at least 7, definitely too old for this league, pushed Carter hard. Carter went down face first in the muddy grass. Before I could even move, Emma was on her feet, screaming. Hey, that's my cousin. You can't push him. The ref blew the whistle. The bigger kid got a yellow card. And Emma was standing there with her fists clenched, furious on Carter's behalf. Jennifer grabbed her daughter's arm. Emma, sit down, the ref handled it. But I saw something in my sister's face. Pride. She was proud of Emma for defending Carter. Carter scored his first goal 10 minutes later. Not a game-winning goal or anything dramatic. It was 8-3 and honestly no one was really keeping track. But he scored and he turned to the sidelines with the biggest smile I'd ever seen. And the whole family was cheering. Mom, Jennifer, Rick, Emma with her poster. Even Mason, who'd been playing on his phone. After the game, Mom pulled me aside while the kids got juice boxes. I've been thinking, she said, about the bonuses. I want to set up a savings account for each grandchild. Equal amounts, monthly deposits. No more cash gifts where I control who gets what. She paused. Including Carter. Especially Carter. I didn't know what to say. And I want to do something else, Mom continued. I want to take a foster care training class. The kind you took. Because you're right, I didn't understand what Carter had been through. I didn't understand what you went through to bring him home. And I want to understand. Imagine your mom, who's been set in her ways for 63 years, saying she wants to learn something new just to understand your child better. How would that feel? I'd like that, I managed to say. We were packing up to leave when Emma ran over to Carter. Do you want to come to my dance recital next month? You could sit with Mason. Carter looked at me hopefully. Can I? Of course you can. As we walked to the car, Carter holding his participation medal like it was Olympic gold, my phone buzzed. A text from Tyler, my brother who'd been MIA through all of this. Hey, heard I missed some family drama. Also heard I have a nephew I've barely met. Free for coffee this week? Want to do better. Even Tyler. Tyler, who never showed up to anything. I was buckling Carter into his car seat when he said, Mama? Are we okay now? With Grandma and everyone. How do you explain to a 5-year-old that healing isn't instant? That people can hurt you and still love you? That family is complicated? Yeah, buddy, I said. I think we're going to be okay. And I meant it. For the first time since that awful dinner, I actually meant it. But here's the thing about families. Just when you think everything's settling down, something else happens. And what happened 2 weeks later at Emma's dance recital? Well, let's just say I learned that my family drama wasn't quite over yet. Because revenge? Turns out my revenge had inspired someone else in the family to take a stand too. And the target of that revenge? It was someone I never saw coming. Emma's dance recital was at the community center on a Tuesday evening. Carter was excited. He'd never been to a dance recital before and he kept asking if there would be tutus. I told him yes, lots of tutus. We arrived early and found seats in the 3rd row. Mom was already there saving spots. She'd been different these past 2 weeks. Calling to check in on Carter, asking about his soccer practice, actually remembering the names of his teammates. Small things, but they mattered. Jennifer and Rick showed up with Mason and we all settled in. The recital was your typical small-town affair. Wobbly pirouettes, forgot the choreography moments, and parents filming every second on their phones. Then Tyler walked in. My brother Tyler, who I'd met for coffee once since the soccer game incident. He'd apologized for being absent, said he wanted to get to know Carter, the whole thing. But I was cautiously optimistic. Tyler had a history of good intentions and poor follow-through. He wasn't alone. He had a little girl with him, maybe 3 years old, holding his hand. I blinked. Tyler. He walked over and the little girl, beautiful brown skin, pigtails with bright pink beads, hid behind his leg shyly. Hey, Tyler said, and he looked nervous. This is Zoe. My daughter. The entire row went silent. You're what? Jennifer's voice was too loud. Several people turned to look. Tyler's jaw set. My daughter. I've been fostering her for 4 months. The adoption should be finalized next month. Mom's face had gone completely white. Tyler, you never said. Because I knew how you'd all react, Tyler interrupted. I saw what happened with Sarah and Carter. I saw how you treated him differently, how Jennifer's kids said awful things. And I thought. He trailed off, looking down at Zoe. I thought if I waited until it was official, maybe it would be different. Do you see the irony here? My disappearing brother had been fostering a child and hiding it from the entire family because of how they'd treated MY's son. But then I saw Sarah stand up for Carter, Tyler continued. I saw her cut you all off financially, watched her protect him. And I realized, I need to do the same thing. Zoe needs me to do the same thing. Jennifer found her voice. Tyler, this is huge. Why didn't you tell us? Because last Thanksgiving, you spent 20 minutes complaining about how trendy adoption had become. Said people just did it for social media points. Tyler's voice was hard. Remember that, Jen? Jennifer's face flushed. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. And I couldn't risk exposing Zoe to that. Mom stood up shakily. Tyler, can I meet her? Properly. Tyler hesitated. Then he knelt down. Zoe, sweetie, this is your grandma. Can you say hi? Zoe peeked out from behind Tyler's leg. Hi, she whispered. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Hi, sweetheart. It's so nice to meet you. I watched this all unfold and honestly, I was proud of Tyler. Shocked but proud. Carter tugged my sleeve. Mama, I have a cousin? Looks like you have 2 new cousins, buddy. The recital started, but I could barely focus. Tyler sat next to me with Zoe on his lap and we whispered during the performance. I'm sorry I wasn't there for you when everything went down, he said quietly. I was dealing with Zoe's placement and I shut down. Avoided everything. Why didn't you tell me at least? I would have understood. I know. I was ashamed, I guess. You were handling everything so well with Carter and I felt like I was barely keeping it together. Zoe clapped enthusiastically when Emma's dance number finished. Emma spotted us from backstage and waved excitedly at Carter. And then her eyes landed on Zoe. I saw her face shift, process this new information. After the recital, Emma came running over still in her costume. Carter, did you see my grand jeté? It was so cool. Carter said even though he definitely didn't know what a grand jeté was. Emma noticed Zoe. Who's this? This is Zoe, Tyler said carefully. My daughter. Your cousin. Emma looked at Zoe for a long moment. And then, I swear this made me tear up, she knelt down to Zoe's level. Hi cousin. Emma. Do you like my tutu? Zoe nodded shyly. Do you want to touch it? It's really sparkly. Just like that. No hesitation. No questions about blood or real family. Emma had learned, genuinely learned. We all went out for ice cream afterward, the whole family. It was crowded and chaotic, with Carter and Zoe sharing a sundae and getting more ice cream on themselves than in their mouths. Jennifer pulled me aside while the kids were distracted. "I owe you another apology, Jen." "No, listen. What you did, walking out, refusing to send the money, standing your ground, it forced me to look at myself, at how I was raising Emma and Mason, at the things I was teaching them without even realizing it." She wiped her eyes. "Tyler hiding Zoe from us because he was scared of how we'd react? That's on me too. On all of us. What do you say to that? When someone genuinely owns their mistakes." "We're getting better," I said finally. "That's what matters." Mom was at the table with Tyler, talking earnestly about something. I caught snippets, the same training classes Sarah took. And, want to be a better grandmother. My phone buzzed. A text from Aunt Linda. "Heard Tyler has a daughter. Family dinner at my place next month. Everyone comes, including Carter and Zoe. No exceptions. Time for this family to do better." I smiled. Aunt Linda didn't mess around. On the drive home, Carter was quiet in the back seat. Finally, he said, "Mama? Why was Uncle Tyler scared to tell everyone about Zoe? How do you explain adult dysfunction to a 5-year-old? Sometimes grown-ups make mistakes," I said carefully. "And it takes time for them to learn how to do better. But they're trying now. We're all trying. I like Zoe. She's nice. I like her too, buddy. And Emma was really nice tonight. She's not mean anymore. People can change, Carter. When they want to." That night, after Carter was asleep, I sat on my couch with a glass of wine and thought about how much had shifted in just a few weeks. My family wasn't perfect. Far from it. But they were trying. Really trying. Tyler called around 10 p.m. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For going nuclear at that dinner. For showing me it was possible to put your kid first, even if it meant burning bridges. I needed to see that." We talked for over an hour. Really talked like we hadn't since we were kids. About Zoe's trauma history, about the challenges of single foster parenting, about our fears and hopes. When I finally hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Hopeful about my family. But I'd forgotten something important. Something that would come back in the most unexpected way. I'd forgotten about the family bonus money I'd sent to Carter's therapist. And what his therapist decided to do with it was about to change everything one more time. In a way that would bring our whole family together for something none of us saw coming. 3 weeks after the dance recital, I got a call from Dr. Patterson, Carter's therapist. "Sarah, I want to do something with the donation you made. Family therapy, for all of you. Your mom, your siblings, even the kids. I think your family needs guided conversations about adoption and what it really means to blend families." I sat down, stunned. "You want to use the money I sent out of anger for family therapy?" "I want to use it to heal what was broken." "Would my family even agree to this?" I called Mom first. She said yes immediately. "I want to do better, Sarah. I need help knowing how." Jennifer hesitated but agreed. Tyler jumped at the chance. He was already in therapy and knew it helped. Our first session was on a Saturday. Dr. Patterson had us all sit in a circle. Me, Mom, Jennifer, Tyler, and Rick. The kids were in a separate playroom with another therapist. "Sarah, tell your family what that dinner felt like," Dr. Patterson said gently. I took a breath. It felt like my worst fear coming true. That Carter would never be seen as really mine. That he'd always be less than. Mom started crying. I thought I was being neutral. But neutral isn't the same as supportive, is it? "No," Dr. Patterson said. "Sometimes neutrality in the face of hurt is its own form of harm." Jennifer's voice shook. I was jealous. Sarah was getting all this attention for adopting Carter, and I felt like my biological kids were just expected. Nothing special. So I minimized it. I told myself adoption wasn't as real. And Emma heard that. "Do you understand that? Resenting your sister for doing something good because it made you feel ordinary?" Tyler nodded. "I hid Zoe because I was terrified. Scared of judgment, scared of failing. Turns out Sarah was just as scared. She was just braver." The sessions continued weekly. We learned about attachment trauma, the challenges adoptive kids face. Mom admitted she'd always seen adoption as less than without realizing it. "When Sarah first told me she was adopting," Mom said in our 4th session, "my first thought was, why not just have your own? I'm ashamed of that now. Because Carter is her own. He's ours." The breakthrough came in week 6. Each person had to say what they needed from the family. "Carter, I need to know I'm not going away. That I'm staying forever." "Zoe, I need people to not ask where my real dad is. Uncle Tyler is my real dad." "Emma, I need to know that even though I said something mean, I'm not a bad person." Mom went last. "I need forgiveness. From Sarah, from Carter, from Tyler and Zoe. And I need to forgive myself." There wasn't a dry eye in the room. After that, things really shifted. Mom started calling Carter weekly just to talk to him about his favorite dinosaur, about soccer. Jennifer invited Carter and Zoe for sleepovers with Emma and Mason. The real test came at Thanksgiving at Aunt Linda's house in Seattle. Before dinner, Mom stood up. "I'm grateful that my family called me out when I was wrong. Sarah, you could have cut us off completely. Instead, you gave us a chance to do better." She turned to Carter and Zoe. "And I'm grateful for my 2 newest grandchildren, who've taught this old woman that family isn't about blood. It's about choice. It's about showing up." Carter climbed onto Mom's lap. "I love you, Grandma. I love you too, sweetheart. So much." Imagine that moment. The moment you realize your family really has changed. After dinner, Jennifer pulled me aside. "The bonus money you sent to Dr. Patterson instead of my kids? Thank you. Thank you for caring more about doing the right thing than keeping the peace. You're a better sister than I deserved." That night, driving home with sleepy Carter in the backseat, my phone lit up. "Mom, same time next month? I want this to be our new tradition." "Tyler," Zoe asked if Carter can come to her birthday party. She's never asked for anyone before. The best message came 2 days later. An email from Dr. Patterson with a drawing from our last session. All the kids had worked on it together. It was a family tree designed as a garden. Each person was a different flower with tangled roots underground. At the top, in Emma's handwriting, "Our family garden. We all grow together." Carter was a bright yellow sunflower. At the center was the biggest flower labeled love. I hung it on our fridge. 6 months later, Mom set up equal savings accounts for all 4 grandkids. She started grandma dates, one-on-one time with each grandchild monthly. Carter's first was to the Natural History Museum. He talked about it for weeks. Jennifer enrolled in foster parent training to understand and to teach Emma and Mason how to be good allies. Tyler and I started a support group for single adoptive parents in Portland. And Carter? He stopped hoarding food. The nightmares faded. He started saying, "When I grow up," instead of, "if I get to stay." One night, tucking him in, he said, "Mama? I'm glad you got mad that day." Yeah. Because now everyone knows I'm real family. Not just you, everyone knows. And that's what it was all about, wasn't it? So that's my story. How one terrible dinner led to hard conversations and, eventually, healing. We're not perfect, we still mess up. But we're trying. We're showing up. We're choosing each other every day. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever had to stand up to family to protect someone you love? Did I handle it right, or would you have done something differently? Drop a comment below. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. If something bothered you or you think I could have handled things better, share your opinion in the comments. I want to hear it. Thank you for listening to my story. And remember, family isn't just about who you're born to. It's about who shows up, who stays, and who chooses to love you even when it's hard. Take care of yourselves. Hug your people tight tonight.